It's comparable to the speed of DeepSeek. In just 3 months, it's already surpassed 10,000, gaining a tremendous amount of attention. Now, when creating AI apps, if you use this MCP and just follow the MCP standards and protocols, you can easily get it done. Hello everyone, nice to see you. This is Error. The MCP, released a few months ago by Anthropic, the creators of Claude, is a huge topic now. In fact, it's gaining quite a buzz among developers, much like how ChatGPT gradually spread or people slowly changed their KakaoTalk profiles to Ghibli animations. This could become a significant historical event for AI agents by 2025. It's called the Model Context Protocol. When you look up MCP on Google Trends, you can observe how global interest has been gradually increasing and then suddenly skyrocketing. In particular, you can observe the massive interest this has garnered in China. Why do you think that is? Well, it's because when you utilize this MCP, when you look at ChatGPT, you can choose to click on web search separately or integrate apps like deep research, text-to-speech, and other functionalities. We often refer to these as plugins or extensions that allow for the integration of other applications. This expansion brought a sense of a new world emerging last year, with LLM-based services branching into various domains. However, the reality is that with AI applications like ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, and Grok 3 all functioning independently, developers faced the necessity of customizing their AI apps to suit each of these platforms separately. So, there were many fragmented developments. But with MCP, developers can create one thing and integrate it everywhere. This opens up many possibilities. Let's see what this means. For example, this is the desktop version of Claude by Anthropic. I'm currently using a Mac, so I installed the Mac version. If you don't have MCP installed, you won't see this menu option. The MCP tool menu will be missing. But with this simple MCP installation, you can do this in a chatbot. Wondering what files are in my download folder? You'd like to know, right? Actually, LLMs could not access these files before. You could only open files directly before. Now you see a prompt asking to allow the FileSystem tool. I installed the server called FileSystem from the MCP servers. So let's allow this in the chat. Then it will start investigating on its own. So when you keep allowing this in the file system, another function runs. Think of the server I installed as just an app. By installing this plugin, you can enable a specific function that allows you to search for particular files directly. Alright, so the reason I can access the download folder now is that the plugin I installed grants this access, and it organizes and displays the various files present. There are numerous image and video files, including my original body profile, a thumbnail for sharing, and various other files. Additionally, there's a presentation related to NVIDIA. If you check my downloads, you'll see a thumbnail for sharing, the original body profile, and various photos. Since the details aren't very clear, let's ask for more specifics. It can retrieve all the actual file names under the image files. For example, I can list all the files I have, such as Lisa Su's files or DeepSeek R1. If you look at this tool that I installed, by setting up this FileSystem server, it can create folders, draw directory trees, edit files, and even edit text files. Additionally, it offers various other functions. You can move files, read them, and search them just like we did. You can also write and create new files. For example, this is really great for handling errors in the future. Please create a text file in the downloads folder that says, "I will become rich," including any typos, and name the file whatever you find appropriate. This demonstrates the capability to create and manage files using the write file command. And while allowing this chat, L is going to be really rich in the future. So it created a text file called The Future of Error by itself, and if you check, you can see that the future of error has been created. The future of errors will become incredibly profitable. Stop talking nonsense. Let's say that. But everyone, what you just saw is a plugin that Anthropic created directly, which is formally called a server. However, terms like server and client are often mentioned. I'll explain this later. Calling it a server might be overwhelming, so I'll call it a plugin. This plugin does more than just handle the file system. There are many things you can use once you install it. As you can see, this site Smithery is like a forge. It's a plugin repository. Smithery.ai, you can think of everything here as individual plugins. Check out the featured section here. These are the recommended ones. You will find various options. There are many available, and most of them are quite useful for developers who do a lot of coding. Particularly, the Perplexity search can be integrated into platforms like Claude or Cursor AI for enhanced search capabilities. You simply need to connect it, and it will function smoothly. Anthropic has created the MCP protocol and made it open source. As a result, people can now easily adapt their work to open AI platforms or other platforms by simply following the MCP guidelines, instead of making individual API calls. This has led to a significant expansion of the ecosystem. By incorporating MCP, Cursor AI is now enabling developers to accelerate their coding processes significantly. Many developers are extensively using Cursor AI, and as they continue to do so, they have realized that MCP is supported. This has led to the rapid spread of MCP within Cursor AI, greatly enhancing the capabilities for AI development. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. So what exactly does this context mean? Whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, or even if you type in draw a rabbit, for example, from our perspective, it's just a chat command, a prompt. But the way this LLM service operates, the previous GPT-4 or GPT 3.0 wouldn't be able to draw a rabbit. To create an image of a rabbit, you would need to use tools like DALL-E or another image generator and make an API call. The same principle applies to web searches. I recently prompted it while developing an LLM, not just searching. Then, you decide to use the searched API and make make your selection. Similar to making a selection, the concept of context here refers to establishing guidelines that dictate how different contexts are linked for the AI model to choose from. So, in March 2025, the MCP server became the top pick of the month. Its rise has been incredibly rapid. Released in December, it climbed steadily. From March, it surged to 15,000. DeepSeek gained 10,000 users in 3 months. Its growth rate is comparable. In just 3 months, it has broken through 10,000 and is now attracting a tremendous amount of attention. If you check Cursor's directory, you'll see it supports MCP heavily. You can quickly sync up with GitHub and integrate it, or add Google Ads, and you can also link Google Drive. There are so many options, including Figma. Suddenly, Cursor started supporting all these features, leading to a significant increase in people using MCPs with Cursor AI. The user base has grown substantially, resulting in a notable boost in productivity. When you hear MCP Server, think of it as a plugin. There's a reason we call it a server. Take the file system I mentioned earlier, or Google Drive. Imagine there's an MCP server called Google Drive. If such features exist, you know the program called Claude by Anthropic. That app then acts as a client, forming a client that actually integrates with the Claude app. And the rules that allow them to communicate back and forth with each other are what we call MCP. The service provider is the server and the recipient is the client. This program with the client included is the desktop app of Anthropic Claude. And then there's what we call a host. So the MCP server service provider, like Claude itself, can't read files or access Google Drive. It can't submit anything to GitHub. However, the MCP server itself has the capability to search for files on my PC or access databases and Google Drive that I own. And by adhering to these specific protocols, it can be seamlessly utilized within Claude, just as it can be with Cursor AI. Since Cursor AI acts as the client, it can utilize these resources freely, making the capabilities of Cursor AI and Anthropic's Claude virtually limitless. Do you remember the old USB types like Type-C and Micro Type-B, and those old feature phone chargers we used to have? All of these chargers were different back then. Each phone had its own charger and battery, so you needed a specific charger to power your device. What does this mean? Because the protocols or standards were incompatible, we had to use different types of charging ports and data communication methods. Remember SK Sky or Gulliver? Each had its own standards, like the Warring States period. Everyone had to use their own. During this time, USB-C became the most unified standard, but there were many types of USB before. This is a USB type. There are many early videos from the USB Republic to refer to. USB versions and types are different. There are ABC types, micro types within B types, and many others. They look quite messy. All the sockets are different, so the data communication rules are different. What does that mean? Different designs for cables and ports mean that devices must use distinct communication protocols, necessitating tailored circuitry and data exchange methods. USB-C ports look the same, but some only support USB while others support Thunderbolt. Why? Their standards and protocols differ. You know about 3G, LTE, 5G, and 6G, right? These are mobile communications. This refers to setting communication standards, which outline how mobile phones and base stations should interact. So, you see, the companies that make iPhones, Galaxies, and Huawei phones, as well as the companies like Sony Ericsson, Huawei, and Samsung Electronics that make network equipment like base stations, all need to follow the same rules for their devices to communicate with each other. They have to adhere to the same standards to ensure compatibility. In other words, only devices that use the same standards can communicate with each other. Why do we have things like USB hubs or docks? It unifies different standards into one USB-C standard. You can't just plug it in. The same goes for Ethernet. For all these things to connect properly, they need to follow the same standards. Now, when developing an AI application, using MCP means you don't have to create multiple ports individually. By simply following the MCP protocol, everything works smoothly. For example, if you ask what's the third line in error _future.txt in downloads, it will call the read file function. It's a bit strange, but even though the file is said to consist of 3 lines, the third line says don't talk nonsense. So, as I just demonstrated, the process of accessing and reading files and data that are stored locally on my MacBook is managed by this plugin, which is known as the MCP Server file system. This server acts as the MCP server, and the client providing this service is on the Claude desktop. However, the installation is extremely simple. It's on the Anthropic MCP site. Here, click Quick Start. You'll see Server Developer, Client Developer, and Claude Desktop User. The Server Developer, as the term implies, explains the process of creating this plugin. You can achieve this by either writing specific code or utilizing pre-existing code from sources like Google Drive. Then, after training it accordingly, just specify what you need it to do, and it will be created following the MCP protocol. We can create it like that, but we'll discuss it next time. For now, just follow along. First, we need to select the server to add. There are many sites to choose from. For example, there is a site called npm.js. As I showed earlier, Smithery Forge has many resources. empusmcp.com also offers various options. Until now, LLM couldn't access my computer, but now you can access it as text and look for large files. You can gather all the images together and place them in a single folder. It's really convenient. Click on npm for detailed explanations. It goes over what each of these are and the available APIs, but the key point is that there are Doco and MPIX. We won't dive into the details now, but what you can use right away is MPIX, which is a node package. To get started, you need to install JavaScript. For more details, you can visit the Claude section where everything is explained. By setting up Node.js, which is compatible with JavaScript, you will be able to use these commands to implement the protocol. So, ultimately, what we need to do is choose the MCP server we want to add. You need to copy the relevant parts for mfix and add them to the Claude Claude app. How? Go into the settings of Claude and then into the developer section. I have already added the file system. If you go into editing, you will find Claude desktop config.json. When you first open it, it will be empty. It's just two curly braces like this. I added a bit more to it. While adding, you need to input the username separately, or the directories you want to add. I added them like this. I included the user's desktop and download sections. So, by using the npx command to align the protocol and adding it accordingly, you can then restart the Claude app. This will automatically set up the client and initiate MCP. MCP means that once the server is set up and hosted, it automatically forms a matching client. This allows you to use the server by connecting it automatically. So, if you have an iPhone and an Android phone, making a KakaoTalk app for both will not be the same. You need to customize them differently. So, different chargers have different standards. Our USB ports and HDMI ports are different too. The standards are not the same. Data transmission methods differ. Transmission specifications vary too. Same with PCI Express. Similarly, iOS and Android have different standards, and each operating system version can have its own bugs, requiring frequent updates. Similarly, when developers wanted to create an app, they had to adapt it to different environments. The same applied to AI. With the MCP standard, it became easier to develop AI apps to this standard. Now, many AI agent models are emerging around the MCP server ecosystem. Google Drive and Gmail are just some examples. There are many more. Of course, to use the Google Drive server, you need GCP. You need to access Google Cloud Platform, get a token for your account, and complete several tasks. Since you need to obtain authenticated API tokens for services such as Google Maps, Google Drive, and Gmail, it requires some additional steps to use your unique tokens. However, once you add these tokens and install them from the text, they can appear as tools in Claude. Alternatively, you can also use them with Cursor AI, making it possible to utilize these services within your applications. So, if you ever want to tidy up your Gmail, for instance, there's often a lot of mess in there. You can command it to gather and organize spam and other items separately. This is possible. In the future, if this expands to smart homes and integrates with AI using MCP, developers would be able to offer many more high-quality AI applications compared to adhering to a standard developed by an individual. So, turning lights on and off will be easy. Many things can be automated with agents. This will be a major event in 2025. You can manage personal finance or stock investments with LLMS. Of course, it's not easy to set up all these APIs with MCP, because there are automated parts. Developers making detailed AI apps might still need to call individual APIs. Not just developers, even regular people can profit from their ideas. They can create customized solutions for themselves. This is a major breakthrough. So even SAM ALTMAN said at the end of March, people love MCP and we are excited to add support across our products. Doesn't it feel like he's a bit behind Anthropic? Anthropic made a big splash with MCP. They integrated it with Cursor AI. SAM ALTMAN then adopted MCP. It will likely be supported in the ChatGPT app. Numerous MCPs can be created for OpenAI. Just integrate them. There will be endless possibilities. The rise of the AI era signifies that the time of AI agents is truly here, allowing our productivity to soar remarkably and efficiently. This swift spread of agents is facilitated by the establishment of a unified platform. Building this ecosystem is very significant. We quickly summarized it today. We briefly covered its usage. A lot of information is already being shared. Check those out. If we find more useful information, we will make follow-up videos. On Instagram, we share short clips not available on YouTube. These include fun and fascinating videos, or even quick text updates. Make sure to check them out for more information. This is Eomyolte Jomerio. Check out Uni modeling this zip-up hoodie on Instagram and Andy Engineering Store. It's the perfect season for hooded zip-ups. Group orders are welcome. Modeled after the coding dinosaur, it's high quality. We appreciate your interest. This has been Error.